You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
That guy keep talking. Hello, everybody. How are you? Keith Engle here with TGI Sports Talks. Sports Huddle, college sports huddle, excuse me. We're talking some college basketball. We got some college football news. We got women's news. We got a lot going on. I want to welcome everybody watching tonight on Facebook, my personal page, the TGI Sports Talk page, of course. Those that are watching us on X or YouTube. You notice I got X in there correctly this time. Thank you very much. Also, we're live, I believe, it looks like, on Roku, the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. Get that channel downloaded, guys. You're missing out. There are tons and tons of viewers and followers now. That they're getting ready to take that channel to the next level. So get on board now. Also, the groups that allow me to share, John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Flo and the gang over at Bottom Line Sports. They do a great podcast of their own. They do their live podcasting on Let's Talk Sports. We're also a good friend of that show, DDH, thumbs up. Our good friend Dan Harris started that network, Tanner D, and the boys doing a good job of continuing the tradition there. We miss you, Dan. Quick shout out. Oh, sorry, Ken Krause at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts, Sports of All Sorts, and many, many others. I mean, there's hundreds of groups that are driving the thousands of views we get every show on Facebook, and we thank you for that great support. And we'll look to push the button or push the needle, move the needle, whatever that mixed metaphor I'm using is. On YouTube, once we retire, that's going to be my goal. Really move the YouTube needle. And Twitter. Don't know how to manipulate it in the way I should. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Pittsburgh, specifically the Sports Corner from 4 to 6 p.m., every Tuesday with Smoking Jim Frazier. And he does some radio, and Ralph does some great stuff. A lot of sports, touches on some local politics there in the Pennsylvania area. Thank you to SeatGeeks, who sponsors this show and all the national streaming sports shows. Get that app downloaded. You see the QR code in the corner. You can use that. Thanks to Jim Beringer, last week's guest on 101, and it was our Sound Off show, so thank you for that. And this week will be an encore. We're going to replay an interview we did with Don Beebe, former Buffalo Bill and Green Bay Packer. Don played in like 5 Super Bowls, guys, and did win one. So we had a great interview, had a great time. What a great guy, and a great college coach now, coaching at the lower levels of college football, but places you can really make a difference. He's doing a great job. So we'll get into the Final Four tonight. We got 4 teams left, 4 number ones, second time in history. 4 number ones, at least since we went to 64 teams. We started seeding teams. 4 number ones. The last time was 2008, also in San Antonio. This year we've got, as you all know, Duke, Houston, Auburn, and Florida. And that Final Four, we had Kansas, Memphis, UCLA, and North Carolina. So much different time now. We can talk about the Elite Eight. We can talk about everything that's led up till now. Let's see who's with us. Danny Fuller. Quick shout out to his UCLA Bruins. They were in that Final Four in 2008 in San Antonio. I believe they'd gone to back. I think they went to back-to-back championship games, if I'm not mistaken. No, that conversation's done for tonight, Scott. The second half hour, the last 20 minutes of that show tends to turn into just a raucous time. It's a little like the Sunday Stream of Consciousness, but not quite as bad. Go Duke. Kind of really want Auburn. I'm curious why, Danny. And UCLA women, yes, congratulations to the UCLA women. They beat UConn, which I missed. I think it was what was that? Was it last night or Monday? We'll talk about the women. Actually, I was talking about the women quickly, and I'd forgotten they'd already played their Final Four games, right? Let's take a look. Let me take a quick look at that the bracket for the women. So, no, they didn't beat UConn yet. They're playing April 4th. What are we talking about here? I thought I missed something. Oh, UCLA beat UConn in 2008. Is that what we're talking about? My bad, Danny. I'm really tired today. I don't know why. I hurt my back. I know why, probably. Hurt my back. Didn't sleep great last night. I took a pain back muscle relaxer, but it's not really the muscle so much. And I've been sleepy and drowsy all day, I swear to God. So I think you're talking about UCLA beat UConn. I was thinking about them playing the women. They play on the 4th. So there you got UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, and Texas. Interesting. Only 1-2 crashed at the party there. Scott Kobe, we're going to give you an update right now. I believe, Scott, I think you can only win. I think, Scott, right now as we stand, just because I'm on the women, Scott Kobe's got, well, I guess you're still alive. If Connecticut wins the national championship with the women, Scott will win the women's bracket. If not, I believe Rick Sherlock will repeat as our women's championship. So congratulations to you guys. Danny is going to finish second or third. I do not think Danny can win. Kenny's eliminated. I'm eliminated. On the men's side, Scott Kobe has got the inside track here. If I look at this quickly, I tried to figure this out a little while ago. I don't even know if I remember what I figured out, but Scott's leading with 1,100 points. Scott, Rick, and AC all have Florida. So by my calculations, Rick can't pass Scott. So Florida wins, Scott's a winner. I'm not sure what happens if Auburn wins, quite frankly. I think the only chance, because they both got the same two teams in the final, so I do not believe if Auburn gets in, Rick's not getting any points either. Now, Danny also, I think, can come from the outside here. If Duke wins, I think Danny is the winner. He's 100 behind Scott right now, and we also have NC belongs with Duke, but they're also 210 points behind Danny. So there you have it. As far as I can tell, on the men's side, if Florida wins, Scott Kobe wins. If Duke wins, Danny Fuller wins. That's as best as I can figure it right now. I did take a look at the brackets. If I'm missing something, somebody sees something I don't, feel free to speak up. And on the women's side, just to recap that one more time, if South Carolina wins, I believe it'll be Rick Sherlock repeating for a second time. He's got he's got a 40-point lead on Danny, but I believe they have the same two teams in the final, and Scott will win if North Carolina wins. So great job by you guys. Me, I got to go looking for some sleepers and be loose. Hello, Keith. Hello, Scott. That's weird. You had already started a conversation with me, and then you said hello in the middle of it. I'm not sure what happened there, Scott. But hello, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well, my friend. I'll repeat it back to you. Hope your health is on the upswing. Hope you're hanging in there. Yeah. I wasn't sure what you were talking about there, but that's all right. I mean, UConn had a nice win over USC. USC playing without Juju Walker. Made a little run at the end of the game. Listen, I know you hate South Carolina or Southern Carolina. Southern California, the University of Southern California. But they made a little run, but UConn put them away by 14 at the end. Were there any close games? Tennessee gets handled by Texas pretty handily. Where's that? South Carolina. South Carolina did a good job against Duke, put up a good fight, but not going to have two teams win the women's and men's. I think that's only happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is UConn the only university to win both the women's and the men's in the same year? UCLA had beaten Kim Malarkey and LSU by 7, revenging a previous loss to them, I think last year or maybe the last couple of years even. There's no way UCLA beats UConn. Paige Buchers is on a massive roll right now. She is on a great roll, playing great basketball. Gino Auriemma, who had talked about walking away here the last couple of years, seems to be rejuvenated as on the sidelines as well. So, listen, it'll be a fun Final Four there, I think, too. And UConn is playing good basketball. I like UConn to win this whole thing, quite frankly. If I win, Tapioca is on Scott in the home. You have UCLA losing to South Carolina. Yeah, so I think all three of you guys got South Carolina in the final. Danny and Rick, as I said, have South Carolina to win. So, again, if UConn wins, I'm sorry. If I got that backwards, Jesus. Good freaking grief. I was just looking at it and I don't remember. Sorry. You and Rick both have South Carolina to win. And so what does Rick have? So you say you've got, does Rick have, Rick has UConn. Okay. All right. Well, that could be, that could actually be a deciding factor. If Southern Cal loses and UConn loses, that's going to give you some extra points there. But Scott's going to blow by you if Connecticut wins. So I guess your best bet would be is South Carolina wins and they beat UCLA in the final. Then you would be the winner, I would think, based on the points there, Danny. See, I don't do math really well. And I also don't have good. Is Rick here? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. There you go. I don't know why I put your guys' hellos up. You can see him yourselves. AC's with us. AC, who didn't have a bad run in the tournament, but I believe he can have the winner, but he can't win the tournament. Sorry, AC. My team, Michigan State, knocked out in the Elite Eight on Sunday. Did we? I don't know. This is a lot of people talk about this as being a boring tournament. I think there's been some moments. I think watching really good basketball, I think watching Duke play has been fun. They've really manhandled pretty much everybody they played. It looks pretty much like Connecticut running through this tournament. Arizona, maybe they lost by 7, but did you ever think they were going to win the game? This is very similar to UConn's runs the last couple of years. Auburn only wins by 6 over Michigan State, but again, it didn't feel like Michigan State was in that game. I watched a stretch of 5 or 10 minutes where Michigan State kept getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound and couldn't put the ball in the basket. Florida and Texas Tech was a very interesting final, obviously. 9 points down with 3 minutes to go. Florida stages a tremendous comeback. Got to make free throws. Wasn't Bo, it was Tip who talked about it on the professional sports show. Got to make free throws. These games, especially when you got a big lead, come down to free throws, and you got to make free throws. Great job by Texas Tech, though. Good run. Very interesting that they came back from 16 down against Arkansas and then blow a 9-point lead. UConn is the only program to win both. They did it twice. Okay, I was not sure. I thought they did it once. I did not know they did it twice. So congrats to them. Danny's got the hellos going. What's the price for winning? I thought it was 10 grand. It is 10 grand. I'll be sending you $1 a year for the next 10,000 years. So it's bragging rights. You get to come in here free of charge, Scott, anytime you like. No cover, no bother. How you doing? Oh my God. Listen. So again, back to my point. Oh, and Houston really rolled over Tennessee. Tennessee could not shoot the basketball. I kind of joked about the first team to 60 would win this game, and it was Houston. Not an exciting offensive production there in that regional final, but I think the 4 best teams are there. And isn't that what we want? I think that's what we want. It's not Bobby Bonilla Day, is it? I thought Bobby Bonilla Day was like in June. We can't talk Bobby Bonilla. It's not baseball show, but we'll take a look here just because. Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah, you're a little early. It's July 1st, by the way. Houston versus Duke will be a war. Listen, I love this Houston team. I love their scrappy defense. They play great team defense. I think Kelvin Sampson is underrated as a coach. I think it's a very interesting coaching matchup. You got Kelvin Sampson against seasoned veteran. He's been here to the Final Four before. He's been to the final. Hasn't been able to get a national championship. He did great in Oklahoma. Got a bigger job theoretically in Indiana at the time. And then over some phone calls to kids, stuff that wouldn't be illegal today, I'm sure. Rebuilt his career going to the NBA as an assistant coach for a long time in Houston. Resurrected a moribund Houston program. And it's a power again. People wondered how he'd do when they moved to the Big 12. He's done just fine. He's won back-to-back championships. Regular season championships. Against John Shire, who's relatively a kid compared to Sampson. You got two young guys in here. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry. You got Sampson playing against John Shire, who's done a tremendous job, by the way. And then you've got Florida and their coach name always Todd Golden. I knew it was Golden. I couldn't think of his first name. Todd Golden against Bruce Pearl, who also has had a pretty storied career. Had some great teams at, I want to say, where was he at? Wisconsin, Green Bay. Where was he before he was at Auburn? I'll get to your comments in a second. I'm starting to now get myself off track here, but I like to know these things. Before he got the big job at Tennessee, he was at, help me out here, come on, Milwaukee. I still think that's Wisconsin, Green Bay. Then he went to Tennessee, got himself in some hot water there, was banned for quite some time. He comes back to Auburn and rebuilds what also was kind of a down program. It's become a power in the SEC for the last, I guess it's Milwaukee, Green Bay, maybe is what it is. But Green Bay's in Wisconsin, so I don't know why I'm mixing this up, but I am. And anyway, I think it's a very interesting matchup of younger coaches against very seasoned veterans, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I think Florida might be the second best team in this tournament. For overall, I said before, Duke feels like the best team at being able to withstand a slump offensively or a slump defensively. Because I don't think Houston can overcome a slump defensively. They don't score enough. Same thing with Auburn. But I think Auburn's got the best player in Johnny Broome. I love that kid. I think he's better than Cooper Flagg, who's also tremendous and makes the players around him better. Maybe Broome's health is going to be a deciding factor in this Final Four. Who knows? Duke is the best team remaining up. That's exactly what I was kind of saying, right? Danny. Sorry about that. I mean, it's funny. I think I was saying that I was up there, but I've said this. I said it Sunday. I've said it a couple of different times, and I just said it on a professional sports show, even though we were talking college basketball on a professional sports show. But Duke does play, and they can, and I do think that they can withstand a slump on either side of that ball, right? Where the other teams might struggle, and I think Florida might be the second best team when you look at overall configuration of the team. I think Houston is going to be more susceptible to the longer, and Auburn are going to be more susceptible, and have been a couple times in this tournament, susceptible to droughts. My feeling is that LJ Cryer struggles, Houston can't win. Whereas if Cooper Flagg struggles, Duke has enough around him to win. I believe that as well. Again, Duke, as great as Cooper Flagg is, I think Duke can win a game if he weren't to play, for instance. They could find a way to win this game. It'd be much harder. But Houston does rely, I think, on Cryer a whole lot more. Because, again, offensively, defensively, I think Houston is a very well-rounded team. They play good team defense, as well as individual defense. But offensively, Cryer is often all they have going for him. Scott thinks Florida finds a way to win. I just think if Broome is injured more than we all know, Auburn can't win. I agree. I was trying to find some information on Broome today. Wasn't finding a lot of new news about Johnny. And I know it's not Johnny, but I'm going to call him Johnny because it's just easier for me. His injury. So, listen, he's a tremendous player. He can play inside, outside, and so can Flagg. I think Broome wins the Wooden Award, by the way, because I think he's the best player in the nation. You know, let's take nothing away from Cooper Flagg. I mean, these two kids are going to go 1 and 2 in a draft, I think. Kind of just the way it feels like it's shaking out. And Broome and Flagg are two of the finalists for that Wooden Award. The others, by the way, are Clayton, a junior from Florida, Mark Sears from Alabama, and Braden Smith from Purdue are the finalists for the Wooden Award. My money's on Johnny Broome. Danny, I know. The NIT has gotten to be the NCAA tournament. I mean, they own the NIT now. I don't even know why they're playing. So Danny says they need to fold the tent. Even the college basketball crowd gets bigger. Gets a bigger crowd. What's the CBB? There's like 3 other tournaments. There's a CIT, or what is that? I know Sienna's gone and played in that one under Pagels for a while. Let me just look. Tournaments. I'm looking for different tournaments. Isn't there like 3 today? Maybe there's 4. I guess there's 3. Well, that's Division 2, so they're not even telling me about the others. I know there's one that just started this year, and I think that's the one that Danny's referring to. When we're taking 68 teams to the NCAA tournament, soon to be 72 or 76, do we need the NIT? Do we need the CBI or whatever the hell we call it? Do we need the college basketball crown? I mean, I think they had some good teams, decent teams playing. And it gives the mid-majors, I guess, a chance to play a little more. Scott heard on the radio that he told his teammates he got hurt, that he was done. So there's something there that Auburn doesn't want us to know. Well, we'll find out on Saturday. When are these matchups on Saturday, by the way? I don't get the times here, do I? Yeah, 6 o'clock. Sorry, 6:09. We got Auburn and Florida, so we'll find out about Broome then, or maybe before, and then Duke and Houston at 8:49 down there in San Antonio. Ought to be a lot of fun, and I'm sure the championship game is around 8. 50 probably as well on Monday night. I think it comes down to Broomer Flag. Flag will probably win. Playing for Duke doesn't hurt his chances. Both these kids are great players. I think they're going to go 1 and 2 in the draft, as I said. To me, they're the best 2 players in college basketball. Oh, that's right, too. I did see that. The CBC championship does get NIL money they're playing for, which is interesting. Feels wrong, doesn't it? But so I guess that's the world we live in today. Some interesting coaching news, too, by the way, this week, or since we were last on. Richard Pitino, who had a very good year at New Mexico, won a game and pushed a little bit in the second round, has left New Mexico to go to Xavier. Sean Miller had left to go take the Texas job almost immediately after he defeated them in the first 4. Sean Miller gets another shot in the big time. Texas always thinks they should be better in basketball than they should be. It felt like that for since I was a kid. But Richard Pitino gets another shot in a big time conference. He flamed out at Minnesota after 8 seasons, had gone to 4 NCAA tournaments, but had a couple of really bad seasons that led to his departure at Minnesota. Rebuilt his reputation at New Mexico. He'll now be coaching twice a year, at least, maybe more, against his dad in the Big East, as his dad, Rick Pitino, obviously is at St. John's. So they'll match up at least twice next year, if not 3 times, if they play each other in the Big East tournament. So that'll be an interesting development. I said Sean Miller left Xavier and went to Texas. I don't know that Texas is a better job than Xavier in basketball, quite frankly. I know it's the SEC. I'm sure he got a raise, and I'm sure the facilities will be better. It seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but Xavier has been maybe as consistently good as Texas over a 20-year period. And again, this is just off the top of my head. And maybe I'm way off base. But it doesn't seem like that big a deal. And by the way, Xavier threw Sean Miller a lifeline when nobody else was going to, when the FBI was chasing him all over the country, him and Will Wade, the name too. He wasn't going to get a job anywhere, and Xavier gave him his old job back when he had said goodbye to them to go to Arizona in the first place. So there's no loyalty here. And he said he was good. These guys all say, "Oh, I'm going to be a Xavier for life." They've thrown me a lifeline, and I thank them for it. You saw how that worked out. Kevin Willard is going to Villanova after really burning all his bridges, burning everything to the ground at Maryland, just bashing pretty much the guys who are running that program about commitment to the basketball program. And Buzz Williams, who's had really good success at Marquette, at Virginia Tech, at Texas A&M, I feel like he's 6 years and out. I feel like he coached 6 years in all these places. He's now going to Maryland, going to coach in the Big Ten. Buzz Williams, while not being maybe thought of as one of the great coaches in the game, has been very consistent and done a good job bringing some programs back to life. He did it at Marquette. He did it at Virginia Tech. And he's had a really good run. Just went to the Sweet 16 at Texas A&M. Facts. Yeah. We're playing for money to distribute to kids now. You can't make this stuff up, right? And the teams in the CBC are from the Big East, Big Ten, and I think here's the thing. I can't get interested. I have not watched 1 minute of an NIT game. I don't even know where these CBC games are televised, quite frankly. Is it over? Is the tournament over, or are they still playing it? And then the CBI or whatever it is, I don't even know if we're playing that one anymore. I think they are. Those were where some of the mid-major teams will get a chance to keep playing, and maybe it's good for the program to be able to keep playing, keep practicing. Some of the bowl games in football. I mean, I always say there's way too many, But it does give the programs a chance to keep practicing, or otherwise they'd have to stop. 34 appearances in the NCAA tournament and 0 banners. And only a couple of trips to the Final Four, I think, Danny. I'm trying to think. I know Rick Barnes, I think, got them there once. I'm trying to remember if maybe Tom, what was it? Tom Penders got them to a Final Four. I don't think he did. Tom Penders played an exciting brand of basketball. Coached at, I want to say he coached at Fordham, got the job at Rhode Island and got Rhode Island kind of on the map a little bit. And then went to Texas where he didn't do quite as well. I don't think he got to a Final Four. He might have gotten himself to an Elite Eight. But Texas doesn't have more than 1 or 2 appearances in the Final Four, I'd say. John Gonzalez, what'd you miss? Just, recapping the Final Four teams and talking a little bit about the Wooden Award. I think Johnny Broom has got a chance to win this. Cooper, I think he's a better player than Cooper Flagg. They're both great players. We talked about how Duke is, the most well-rounded team in this tournament. Talked about the coaches. Very interesting matchup of young and old, youngish and oldish coaches in the Final Four. Talked a little about some of the coaching moves. I think I covered, there's some others that have happened. Rick posted something the other day, and I can't confirm it, Rick. I don't know if you're still here. I know Rick sent me a article from, and I don't remember what the source was, saying that Indiana had lost all of their players to the transfer portal, which I don't think is true because some of them just matriculated. Well, maybe they didn't matriculate, but they've left the program because they timed out. But I couldn't find any independent source on my own that said every player has left that program. Now, it wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be unusual with a coaching change in this time of the transfer portal that a team would lose most or all of their players. And quite frankly, DeVries may not want those players back. Remember what happened in Colorado with Dion. We can talk a little bit about Dion too, because he got a big contract extension, by the way. The hell was I talking about? I do not, for the life of me, I cannot remember what the hell I was talking about now that I got myself off track. Oh, players leaving. Don't remember Colorado pretty much jettisoned everybody that was on that team. Turned over like 70 positions. So I don't know that's all that unusual, especially if we've only got 15 or 18 or whatever they have on college basketball squad. But DeVries might want them all gone anyway. His kid is following him. Probably getting a couple other kids from Providence or whatever. Fox Sports still playing at the MGM Grand in Vegas. All the games were there, right? Didn't they play all the games at one venue, similar to what the NIT used to do years and years ago at the Garden? It's starting to come back to me now. The CBC, the 70th best team in the country. Danny Fuller, West Coast legend. Danny Fuller is a legend across the country. Let's not limit him to LA. Tune in Friday. We'll be talking about Danny's Dodgers and the Torpedo Bats. Not tonight. Don't start tonight. Save it for Friday. Texas has only 3 Final Fours, 2 of them in the 40s. So in modern times, Rick Barnes is the only team to get him there. Rick Barnes' teams, Rick Barnes is a really good college basketball coach. But I can't remember a team of his, whether it was Clemson or Providence or Texas or Tennessee, that could shoot the basketball. I mean, he did have Durant in Texas. I believe he was still there when Kevin Durant was there. That team couldn't get to the Final Four. Maybe that team did get to. Maybe that's the team that got there. But for years, he's had tremendous defensive teams, and they just collapse in the tournaments because they can't shoot the ball, put the ball in the ocean. John had Duke. You had Duke in Florida making the Final Four. I had Duke. My Final Four was Duke, Michigan State, St. John's, and Clemson. So not a good tournament for me. Which of the coaches in new locations will have the greatest success in my mind? I think DeVries is going to do well at Indiana because he's done well wherever he goes. So I like that move. Let me just pull up the other moves because these four may not be the only ones that matter. Because remember, you got hold on. So Florida State has a new coach and Luke Laux. Indiana, I think Darian DeVries could have great impact. It may take 2 or 3 years, but I think Indiana will rebound under Coach DeVries. Of the guys I mentioned today, I would expect Buzz Williams to have a really good 6-year run at Maryland. Will he win any national championships? Probably not. I think Willard will get Villanova back to playing good basketball. I don't like the way he left Maryland. I don't like the way he burned the place to the ground on his way out. They're fortunate they got as good a coach as Buzz Williams, the way he was torching a program before he left. I think Ben McCollum will do well at Iowa. You saw what he did at Drake. He's playing with basically his Division II championship players the last 2 years. I said Buzz Williams. Jai Lucas, I think, might have an impact at Miami. I think Nico Medved is going to be sorry he went to Minnesota, to his hometown. NC State, Will Wade wins wherever he goes. FBI follows him around wherever he goes, but he does well. I think Sean Miller is going to find out what it's like in Texas. Expectations way too high. Ryan Odom, I think, will do well at Virginia. But I would say, I'm going to go to answer your specific question, which coaches and locations will have the greatest success? I think Richard Pitino is going to do really well at Xavier. I really do. We talked fantasy. When? No, torpedo bats will get covered on Major League Baseball Update Friday, and we're the college football and basketball huddle here. By the way, nobody's going to be talking about torpedo bats in June. Save it for Friday at 3:00, John. Or Sunday morning. We'll be talking about it in both places. Transfer portal is the worst thing ever to happen in college basketball. Listen, I'm okay with a portal. I'm okay. I don't think a kid should get stuck somewhere for 4 or 5 years when a coach abandons him. There should be a way to get out. But there needs to be some better construction to the portal. You can't just have the Wild West where you could be a free agent year after year after year after year was what we have. It's crazy that you have to rebuild a roster every single year. John Calipari talked about it last Monday after winning and getting to the Elite Eight about the transfer portal opening on Monday. And he's like, how ridiculous is it? And you can like or hate John Calipari. I don't think it really matters. His point is still accurate. How stupid is it? And I'm trying to get kids ready to play an elite. I'm sorry, he got to the Sweet 16. I got to get kids ready to try to get to a regional final. And at the same time, I got to ask them if they're planning on coming back next year. It's nuts. This whole system it blows. That's what it does. Sorry for the language, but it does. And nothing's going to change anytime in the near future. I mean, I think kids should be able to move on. I think kids should be able to kind of, somehow share in a team success, but not the way we're just paying kids millions and millions of dollars. And then come next year, somebody's going to offer him another $1 million and he'll go there. And what do you teach kids, right? If you're failing here, just go look for a better situation. Don't do better in this situation. What do we teach kids when they go out into the real world? If these kids the kids that don't make it to the NBA per se, or the NFL, what do we teach them about adversity, working through adversity? You have a little adversity, just hit the portal and go somewhere else. Yeah, you can do that in real life, but may not work out that well. But again, it's all about dollars and cents. Kenny Gifford said it here many times on my shows. Miss Kenny. Where's Kenny at, Rick? If you're Kenny, if you're out there, come out and play, would you? We miss you. Today and Sundays. But Kenny always said, follow the money. It's all about money. We know this. It sucks. Any tampering with Villanova and the Willard hiring, do you think? Yeah, I think there's tampering everywhere. DeVries left Indiana like 12 hours after West Virginia was left out of the tournament. Maybe it was 48, but whatever. You don't think they were talking to DeVries, Indiana, during the course of the season? Absolutely they were. There's tampering everywhere in every sport. There's tampering with the players. You think, how can these kids hit the portal and go to a new school in the same day? Not all of them. In the NFL, free agency opens and guys sign in 5 minutes. So there's tampering always. Always. John had Duke, Florida, UCLA, and St. John's. Well, Danny would be happy to hear you took his Bruins. So this is to Scott's question about who will do the best. I like Richard Pitino. Well, Pitino went to Xavier, yes, where I said he'll coach against his father twice a year now, maybe 3 times if they hook up in the tournament. Scott had asked a question, Scott, about which one of these new hires, and I went through a bunch of the more high-profile ones. I think Richard Pitino will have the most success. Danny likes Willard at Villanova. I think he's a really good coach. I think he had a couple of good seasons at Seton Hall. Took what he thought was going to be a better job at Maryland than theoretically it should be. Maryland has a fairly decent basketball history, but, he's not been happy there for a long time with the facilities, and the NIL money is not there. I would think Buzz Williams got some assurances before he left a pretty good job at Texas A&M to go battle out Maryland in the Big Ten. Scott said Jay Billis brought up kids having contracts like coaches, and you can only transfer one time, and that's it. I think that's what there needs to be some kind of rules, and these schools are going to have to. And maybe you don't need the transfer. You don't need the transfer rules if you're going to have contracts, right? If I'm going to give you whatever, what did the kid got from? I'm trying to think of the kid in NCAA who got $10 million over 3 years, let's say. Well, you got to stay 3 years to get your $10 million, I would think, and I'm going to make you sign a contract that says you're going to do so. This is worse than at least in the NBA or any professional sports. I mean, yeah, you could be a free agent 2 years in a row if you sign a 1-year contract, but at least there's some semblance to order, if you will. I mean, the money's stupid money, but still, you can't just walk out on a commitment. And again, I don't want to lock kids in for 4 or 5 years someplace they're going to be unhappy. But also, I don't want kids just up and moving the first time a little bit of adversity shows up because I'm not playing enough. Well, then practice harder and play better and make the coach notice you for good things instead of whatever bad things he has in his head about you. I think the college sports today teaches kids very little about how to handle adversity, because the first thing you're going to do is go look for a better situation. Now, you can do that in real life and change jobs as much as you want, unless you signed a contract somewhere. But more often than not, you're going to try to fight. Everybody's had adversity in their work. I've had it at different times. I'm getting ready to end a very satisfying 23-year career at the place I've been for 23 years in August. And there was lots of adversity. There were times I thought about moving, and I did go. Quite frankly, in all transparency, I left for 10 months and came back because it was a bad fit. And all the things I didn't like about my job at that point in time, I found out there's things you're not going to like about every job. Every place is the same. The color of the carpet's different. Every place has got their issues, their pros and their cons. And it was the best decision I ever made because I had the most successful years of my career since I went back in 2007. That followed a 20-year career, almost 20. Yeah, 20-year career in a beer business. That's 2 jobs in 40 years. Rick, I know you had a long career. Kids today, well, you don't teach them that. And kids are job jumpers today anyway. College basketball and football has just become a kind of a microcosm of society. When I've had to hire people and look at resumes, then I would always throw the ones out where somebody was there 1 or 2 years. I wouldn't even look at them. You can't ignore them today because that's what people do. They don't stay someplace 23, 25, 40 years. What do we think Belichick will offer any kid? What do we think Belichick will offer any kid in the portal? I would love to be a fly on the wall. I don't think North Carolina's got unlimited resources to just offer kids whatever in the portal. I don't think they have that type of NIL budget. I'm sure they've upped it. I'm sure the fact that Belichick is there has brought a lot of boosters out of the woodwork with money. Do I think they've got money to spend like the SEC or Big Ten teams do? No, I don't. I think Belichick's got his reputation to draw kids and some money. And again, he has said that, he wants to build a program that gives the kids the best chance to move on to the next level. It's funny, he doesn't talk about winning championships. He talks about sending kids to the NFL, which is what kids want. We'll see how long that lasts, Scott. Olivia Miles decided to use a portal over Notre or the WNBA. It's all about, the players have all the leverage today. Plus, they want to form a union. And I'm guessing there are kids at all levels, except for the top whatever percent, right? 5% of the kids playing, whether it's football or basketball, and women especially. You see what the money is in the WNBA. I'm guessing the NIL money for the top players in college basketball, women's college basketball, is better than they're going to make at the WNBA. You'd be foolish to leave for the WNBA right now. Stay in college and get all the money you can get. And I think that stands on the men's side too. For kids who are not at the top of a draft class, if you're going in a second or third round, you might get as much money to stay in college as you're going to get in the second or third round in the NFL. It might be more of a guarantee too. Well, you let my secret out of the bag. It's my retirement gig as assistant GM at North Carolina to Mike Lombardi. I am very interested in this coming football season. And we'll keep this show going for, I don't know, into May. We'll take a little hiatus into July or August probably. We'll take a little time off on Wednesday nights once we get through basketball and a spring portal. We can even talk the draft on this. It's still college. There's still college players. We can look at the draft. We can look at some other things. But we get into May and June and things start to slow down, and we usually take a little hiatus. But I'm very interested in seeing how this plays out in North Carolina with Bill Belichick. Very interested. I do believe he's got like a game in prime time on that week 0 or the opening week of the college. I can't remember which it is, but he's got kind of a window to himself. I don't remember who they're playing actually. Let's see if I can find them real quick. Let's look at this will be our first look at a college football schedule, and I'm going to blindly give some picks here. We got TCU in their opener at 7:30 on 9/1. Guessing that's Labor Day weekend. At home. Then they go to Charlotte, West Virginia, at UCF. This team could open 4-0. They're going to play Clemson at home. They're going to go to California, which why wouldn't any good ACC team go play a road league game in California? Virginia, Syracuse, Stanford, Wake Forest, Duke, North Carolina State. It's going to be very interesting to see what Bill does. That's going to be one of the stories of the summer we'll be talking about for sure. What am I hiring you for? Nobody's taking my recommendations. They're looking to fill my position, John. I think they had an interview last week before my boss went on vacation. Or took a vacation anyway. Took some PTO during spring break to spend time with his kids. So they're interviewing for my position. Got to be in Utah, though. I have had the luxury of working from home since COVID, except for 4 trips to the office now a year when my boss comes into town from Utah. They're hiring my replacement in Utah, though. So you can apply for that job, and we'll be hiring some salespeople. If you can speak French, we're looking for some French-speaking people for one of our platforms that sells our product, if you will, our services in Canada. Don't you have a full-time gig over at MetLife? Danny used the sports group's transfer portal to join the sports authorities. What were you paying? I came in too soon. I was on the ground floor. Well, I don't know if I was on the ground floor. You'd been around a while before I came in, John. What was it? What kind of money did he get to transfer? And I think, I think we drove a few guys in there, and I think maybe I should get my palm greased a little bit here. I'm kidding. John runs one of the great groups I talked about at the top, and John gave himself a plug here, Sports Authorities. The Sports Authorities group, one of the best, maybe the best group on Facebook, and John is the number one admin, I can tell you. And there's a couple groups. I plug the same groups at the top because they're the best guys that I've dealt with. John is is salt of the earth type of guy. I want to get John up here when we have our next little outing. I hope Rick can come. I hope you're able to get out and about, Rick, when we do this. We are going to do it. I promise you. Especially once I'm retired, it may be after that, but we're going to have a little afternoon happy hour. College gymnastics after the hoop season is over. We'll talk a little baseball. Football seems to be in the news every week, right? We got news this week in football. Frank Reich's going to be the interim coach at Stanford. My guess is he'll have a chance to win that job for real. Interesting where Luck went for that hiring. Dion got a big 5-year extension, $10 million a year. He's now making at Colorado. He's not leaving anytime soon. I got to start writing where I can read what the hell I wrote down. Oh, my God. Hold on. Let me get to... I had a couple of notes written down here. Now I can't read them. Speaking of transfers, Pine's leaving Missouri. I think he's been at that's his third stop. He's been at Notre Dame, Missouri, and I don't know somewhere he was before that. New Mexico, maybe. Coastal Carolina is going to give away free concessions. First FBS to offer free concessions. There's a lot of money in concessions if you've been and tried to buy a beer and a hot dog at a ball game. But they're going to offer free concessions. I don't know how that's going to work. I feel like they're going to go out of business. You can get 4 items every trip you make. I haven't read anything about limits. So that's kind of interesting. I thought I had something else here. Kent State has placed Kenny Burns on administrative leave. They haven't given any word why. The fact that he's 1-23 in the MAC in the last 2 years might speak to something about it. Colorado and Syracuse had their request for a spring football game denied. But Syracuse, on a similar note, although this is a real game, this would have been an exhibition game. Teams are starting to do away with their spring games, their red and white games or black and blue games, whatever. So Colorado and Syracuse were talking about playing a spring game and having some scrimmage leading up to the exhibition, similar to what the NFL does in the preseason. The team comes in for, 3-4 days of scrimmages and they play an exhibition game on Saturday. But Colorado also, Syracuse also has signed a home and home deal with Toledo I think starting in 26. Labor Day night. Is that Labor Day night? Really? Yeah. So there probably will be a standalone, going ahead of my calendar here. Oh yeah. The first is Labor Day. Can't get any earlier than that, can it? See how good I am? That's my Perth education. It'll be an interesting game. Sonny Dykes and Bill Belichick at night in Chapel Hill. Nothing says the ACC like UNC at California. Oh, unless it's Stanford and Cal Stanford and Cal having to travel to Greensboro or wherever they played where did they play the ACC tournament this year, and playing each other, 3,500 miles from home. Bill Belichick belongs with the Giants. He's the only one who can turn them around. Can't see it happening. Although, I will say this, John. Bill Belichick has like a $1 million buyout after July 24th this year. July 20-something. I think it's $10 million, and then I believe it goes to $1 million after that. Bill Belichick, I think there's at least a 50-50 chance he's back in the NFL next year. he left himself a pretty big door to get out. John can sell anything. Well, can you speak French? Because right now the positions we're hiring for are two, but they got to be French speaking. Maybe only one of them got to be. My job, you don't have to be. You don't even have to speak English. That's my job. You do need a lot of experience, so they're looking for a lot of experience. It has been too long. You can get out, and can you have a adult beverage, Rick? Are you okay to do that? Scott, if we can find a way to get you out here, we'd love to have you join us for an afternoon of snacks and beer. We have quite a few of the Sunday Stream of Consciousness guys who are here local. We tried to get John up last time, but we couldn't make it happen. It's hard, I know. I mean, we are 3 hours out of the city. Probably 3 hours for both you guys, I'm guessing. Maybe not Scott. I'm not sure where you are in relation to. I can get to Foxborough in about 2.5 hours, I think. I can get to the city in 2.5 hours from here as well. Take party at Coastal Carolina. That might be better. Definitely in this book club I've been hearing about. Is this the book club I've been hearing about? Not reading a lot of books in this crowd. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do read, but I don't comprehend what I read. So, we got off the side. Got sidetracked a little bit. What else do we want to talk about? We can talk about the draft, by the way. I mean, you know what I wanted to look at? I wanted to look at, that's the NFL. Where's college football? The mock, ESPN's late, was it? No, I guess it was The Athletic. It was Bruce Feldman, one of their football writers. His mock draft today, by the way, had Travis Hunter at number 4. I know John has some inside information about Will Johnson. Travis Hunter's there. There's no way Will Johnson is going to be the pick. I still think they take a tackle if Hunter or Carter's gone. But we'll keep an eye on Johnson because of the word that John Gonzalez gave us last week. So I had an article I wanted to look at. Maybe it was over here. Here it is. Who are the blue chip quarterbacks next year? We know this year is not a great this isn't what I want either. I don't have it for now. Those are going to be the blue chip high school players. I really don't want to dive that deep right now. Yeah, Feldman's mock draft. Here's Bruce Feldman's mock draft right now. I still go by PFF. I know a lot of guys have mentioned they don't like it recently, but I like PFF. Bruce Feldman, has Cam Ward going number 1 to Tennessee. Abdul Carter going to the Browns. Both picks make sense. And they've got, I think the Giants might trade out of this spot, but Bruce says they'll take Shedeur Sanders, which obviously leaves Travis Hunter for the Patriots. Now, these mock drafts you can take with a grain of salt because they'll blow up in an instant. I'm trying to see where he's got your guy going. The guy I like for the Patriots at 4, if Carter and Hunter are gone, was Will Campbell. They've got him going 9 to the Saints, Giante to the Bears at 10. Still trying. Will Johnson to Miami at 13 would be the call for Mr. Feldman. But again, these are what they are. If Sanders doesn't go to the Jets at 7 or New Orleans at 9, he will drop out of the bottom of the first round. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. I mean, so are you convinced, again, your Giants are not taking Shadur Sanders? I don't know how they can't. Their quarterback situation is still not good. I wouldn't. I would trade out of the spot, get a quarterback later on, try to build something there. I don't like these two quarterbacks. I love Cam Ward. I thought he's a great, great college quarterback. I have my doubts about how good he will be on the pro level. Holds the ball way too long. You can teach guys, a bit and get them out of some of those habits because you can hold the ball in college and get away with it. But these guys are not ready to produce now. There's not a player in this draft that I can see coming out and starting. Now, maybe somebody surprises the hell out of us, but not one of these guys would have gone in the first round last year. You see the Giants taking Hunter. If they're smart, they take Hunter or they trade back. New Orleans is an interesting spot for Sanders. I'm not sure the Jets want to go there. I like what the Jets did with Justin Fields myself. Scott's seen Ashton Giante going to the Raiders, and I've seen that too at 5. I've seen Giante anywhere from 5 to the Raiders to I think 14. Is that where the Cowboys are? Well, 12. He's got them taken. Actually, it's interesting because there's another really good back that we don't talk about. We're talking about UNC, and Omari in Hampton is a really good back out of UNC. People have talked about him going really late in the first round, maybe even early in the second round. But in Feldman's draft, as he's got Giante, I said going to, who did I say he was going to? The Bears. That'd be, something. The Bears are going to be really good. I don't want to get into too much about NFL. We'll stick with the draft for now. But Feldman's got the Cowboys taking Hampton from UNC at 12. 2 running backs in the top 12. When was the last time that happened? I think the Giants take Hunter, then trade into late first round, take Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart would be a good guy to target at the back of the first round for sure, if they've got the collateral to move back into the first round. Be interesting to see. Belief is Hampton will be. I think you might be right there. Hampton is getting a lot of good talk. He scored 15 touchdowns. The great year Giante had, you can't take away. I worry a little bit about his size. He's not that big, right? Isn't he? How big is he? 5'8", 211 pounds. Comparing to LaDainiel Tomlinson, which is a pretty good comparison, but I worry about a guy that size. And you're going to take him high enough where you've got to give him a lot of touches. So I think Hampton might end up being the better back in the long run. We'll see. It'll be fun to see. Listen, this draft is not high quality. I think there's a lot of intrigue in this draft, though. I mean, I don't think this will be a boring NFL draft. A lot of people think, there's just no interest. They're hyping up these kids, which they always do. I don't think there's some good kids. Hunter's obviously a great player, the best player in this draft. Carter's a great player. But there are a lot of other guys who have big question marks. And I think the talent overall in this draft is not great, but the intrigue in this draft, I think, is very, very high. I like the 10 end from Pitt. What else his name? Should have wrote my PFF. Hold on. Get my PFF up. We're going to talk about this stuff. My big board. I love the kid. Tyler Warren. He's a great player. I like the kid from Michigan as well, Loveland at tight end. The Patriots, Scott, I can see looking for a tight end at some point in this draft. Watch out for Arroyo, maybe late second round, early third round. If he's still there, I could see the Patriots potentially going for Arroyo, depending on what they do with the other 2 picks. He's a guy I like at the tight end position for the Patriots as we talk about tight ends. In the open field, he's tough to catch and tackle. Hampton, yes. Look at Jonte and Hampton will probably both be really, really good backs. The fact that the NFL devalues running backs, if 2 of these guys go in the top 12, it would be a major shocker in my mind. Major shocker. Somebody's going to get Hampton late in the first round and get a jewel, in my mind. McMillan will likely be the first wide receiver taken, but I'm not sold on him. I think there's a wide receiver, I think, is one of the deeper positions in this draft, and most drafts, I think, recently, too. There was a guy, let me go to wide receivers, a guy that I really liked. Oh, Luther Burden. I think Luther Burden III might be a better, again, size might be an issue there. He's only 5'11", but there's a guy who I think he'll be a first-round pick. I don't think he'll go in the top 10. He might be better than McMillan. Egbuka from Ohio State. Golden from Texas. All going to be first-round picks probably. Again, if I'm the Patriots, I always try to there's always a kid from Miami that I like, and he ends up not being as good as I thought he'd be. Braxton Berrios comes to mind. Restrepo, though, just had a horrendous combine. They've still got him ranked at 54 in PFF rank, but I'm looking for some guys. I like Trey Harris, so I think the Patriots or somebody could get maybe around late in the third round, possibly. But I think he's got some talent. You got Tez Johnson, who's going to go probably in the 4th or 5th round. Isaiah Bond is going to be there's some value in quality wide receiver picks, and you don't have to reach for a McMillan or a Burden the third in the top 10, right? Top 14. So it's going to be interesting for sure. I'm excited about the draft, but because I've got some hope for the Patriots for first time in a long time. I don't want to get into the NFL specifically right now. I want to kind of stick to the draft, but there's some hope. And if they can find a couple of winners here in this draft, they've got to hit with the 4th pick. They've got to have a hit. I don't care what position it is. It's got to be a hit to continue the momentum they've built in the offseason. Scadaboo's another he's a bigger Rex Burkhead. Rex wasn't nearly as big as this kid. He reminds me more of John Nottingham, if you remember John Nottingham back in the day, John. And he's going to be a guy that's probably going to get picked in the 3rd round. They've got him ranked 50th, so that's late 2nd round. 5'11", 215. He's got great instincts, great balance. He reminds me a lot of John and Nottingham. I don't know if it was John Nottingham now that I think about it. Nottingham, what was it? I don't know what his first name was now. Played with the Dolphins. I think he played with the Colts. He was a battering ram. Well, your tight end is older than us get drafted. The kid from Miami, I don't even know if he's on the draft board. Let me see. I think his name is McMillan, if I remember right. Let me take a quick look here. I think I can search him. So he's not showing up on their draft board. My guess he'll be an undrafted free agent. Let's see if I I think it's McMillan. What's his name? Yeah, I'm not getting him. I think he's unranked. Oh God, good question. No, he is about the same age as we are for sure. Don Nottingham, thank you. What did I say? Did I say Don or John? Played with the Dolphins too after the Colts, I believe, if I'm not wrong. He was a batting ram. Doesn't he, John? Doesn't he remind you a bit of Don Nottingham though? Maybe faster and more athletic than Don Nottingham, I would say. And he's probably a guy that's going to have a decent career in the NFL and be a good value pick at the middle back of the second round because he's not going early. Teams don't want to pay running backs. You can't take them in the top 15 or the first round unless you're willing to pay them first round money, which is why Hampton may fall into that back of the second round, first round, or early second round spot. Somebody's going to get a great deal on him as well. And Scatabo. I like them both. My picks. I didn't give picks yet. And my picks are probably worth nothing because I don't have a team left in the Final Four except Duke. But I'm going to stick with, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Auburn over Florida if Johnny Broom plays. Sorry. I would take Auburn over Florida. I take that back. I just changed my mind. I'm going to take Florida. I'm going to take Todd Golden's Florida Gators over Auburn and a banged up Johnny Broom, who will win the Wooden Award, to win the first Final Four game. I'm going to take Duke in a really hard-fought battle with Houston. We got a Duke-Florida final. I think that'll be a bruiser as well. And I think Duke and their young coach, former player, John Shire, wins this tournament. So there's my prediction for the tournament, since we didn't do that earlier. Danny Fuller reminds you of Tom Matte. Tom Matte was a running back, ended up playing quarterback, didn't he? In I don't know what year it was, 70 or 71, ended up playing. And it's funny, they all wear the plays on their arm now, but nobody did it then. And he was wearing one of those basically wristbands that had the plays on them. Tom Matte. We're too old, John. I don't think you're as old as me. We've had this conversation before. If you're as old as me, you've held up well. I'll be 65 in about 130 days. So there you got my picks, guys. We're going to wrap it up. And I really thank everybody for tuning in today and having a good time, some laughs like we always have. Turn that down a little bit. We'll be on Friday's one-on-one show at 1 o'clock, or I'm sorry, 9 o'clock will be a encore presentation, my interview with Don Beebe, former Bill and Packer. Standout player. We talked about a lot of stuff in that interview. We had a lot of fun. He's a really successful college coach at the Division III level and really turning out quality young men down there. And he's an interesting guy to talk with. And we had a great conversation. You're going to enjoy it. 3 o'clock, we'll have the MLB update live, and we'll talk Torpedo Bats. We'll talk the Dodgers 7-0 start and their 2 extra home games in Japan, along with some other news of the day. And Sunday, we'll be back with the Stream of Consciousness. So we enjoyed it, guys. Always love it. You're a bit young. I thought you were a bit younger than me. If you were as old as me, you held up very well. Well, thanks for tuning in tonight, John. Scott, thank you for your contributions. Rick, thank you. AC, Danny, all you guys, everybody that's out there and some of you that didn't speak. I saw Gary McPhillips was in the room. Alex, Weiser, Ron Bear, Ginger. Who else is out here? Guys hiding on me. Anyway, don't hesitate to reach out next time and comment Guys, we'll see you on Friday afternoon live. We'll repeat, as I said, on what, at 9 o'clock. Boy, I can't speak. I'm getting off the show and going to bed because I'm tired and I'm old. You guys have a great weekend. Well, when it comes, have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Friday afternoon with the MLB update. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.